Hey everyone, how are you? Hope you're well. Welcome back to Russell Sim Racing and welcome to Watkins Glen International for this race in the Indy Fixed Series here on iRacing. Let's take a quick look at the starting grid. Max Brown takes pole for this one. He was the only driver who dipped into the 125s in qualifying. He'll be followed out by Tom Shield in P2. We get to start in P3. Nick Rindo in P4, Cole Baker in P5, and James Ferguson rounds out the top six. Even though only one driver hit the 125 mark, it's a very tight and competitive field with every driver in the top 10 qualifying within 1 second of each other. As always, the plan is to try and move forward. Let's get in the cockpit and see how we get on.
Hey, back there. I was fumbling with my radio a little bit.
We are waiting here for Max Brown to get us underway, waiting for the pace car to pull off. We'll go on the leader on this rolling start, and there he goes. We are on the gas, barreling down into turn one. We get a decent start here. It looks like we might be able to get Tom Shield as we dive down into the inside to try and make this move stick, and we're able to get around going up the hill. First lap, no push to pass here, so we are hoping that we can make that move stick going into turn four as we go down this long straight here at Watkins Glen. I can see Shield in my rear view. Looks like he might take a peek to the inside. Ferguson might help me out by going around to the outside, and he does. He's not able to get a move done either, and we are going to stick to P2 here in this frantic opening lap here at Watkins Glen as we are now going into the boot section, trying to follow behind Max Brown. Hopefully we can cut down that 1 second gap. He was able to get away from us a little bit at the start. Really got a great jump on the rest of the field. But as this race goes on, hopefully we can take that gap down a little bit. Coming down into what I think is the trickiest part of the Watkins Glen road course, the end of the boot section. This turn in particular is very tricky to get right. If you get on the gas too fast, you will bring the back end around. If you get on the gas too slow, you risk getting passed from behind. Let's take a quick look back at lap one. We were able to get a decent jump following the leader Brown into turn one. Shield, unfortunately for him, isn't able to get a great run down into turn one. I see the opportunity, make the dive in for a clean pass to get the race started as we beat them up the hill. Back behind, there was a big mover. Nate Jordan got an absolute blinder of a start, weaving up from P12 to P5, but he gets a little greedy on the gas out of the last corner, takes a pretty big impact into the wall. That impact really slowed Jordan down a bit and really allowed the top four in the race, Brown, myself, Ferguson, and Shield, to begin to pull away. As we move forward to lap four and we've all settled into the race, we're able to maintain a bit of a gap to Ferguson, and that allows us to try to cut down on this 2.3 second margin to Max Brown. As we move forward to lap seven, here's Brown beginning to build a little bit of a gap, but a moment that's about to shape the back half of this race is going to occur. Look down on the bottom left, that is Danny Carvajal, who had an issue earlier in the race and now spins in the toe section of the boot. I hear my spotter call out an issue in front. I have to slow a bit to see what has gone on. We're able to get around, but that little lift is going to cost us here as Ferguson and Shield are now coming up behind. Let's take a look back from Max Brown's onboard and look at how close, that was to being a race-ending catastrophe for our leader. Brown was able to power through and get by unscathed, but unfortunately for us, our lift for safety has cost me, and my mirrors are now full of both Ferguson and Shield behind. This is absolutely not what I wanted to finish the final 3 laps of this race. What I thought was going to be an easy ride to the finish has just turned into anything but. The good news for me is, compared to Ferguson and Shield, I've been able to have great entries and exits to turn one. As we go back up the hill, we're on the push to pass button, trying to build that gap up as much as we can, and a bit of respite here coming for me up the hill as I see Shield challenging Ferguson in my mirrors. If I can get these two to fight it out for a bit, hopefully I can scurry away and increase the gap, possibly even catch back up to Max Brown, who is increasing that gap now up to almost 2.5 seconds. But my focus, unfortunately, is what is going on in my mirrors. James Ferguson only 0.2 behind. Tom Shield only 0.2 behind him as we go through the toe section of the boot for one of our final times, chasing down to the heel. Again, this is the section that is the most tricky for me to get right. We take it down into third gear, get on the gas, but Ferguson is going to be right behind me going into this tricky turn. We get down on the gas, try and beat him down to the penultimate turn. We are able to put a little bit of distance in between us as he thinks better of a move. We come down to the final corner, get on the gas, and we are able to put a little bit of space in between us. But again, here he comes down into turn one, thinks better of it, but we were able to get, again, a better entrance and a better exit, which is going to allow us to put a little gap in between us going up the hill. This has been a race where the gaps to the car in front and the cars behind have not changed much, but unfortunately that incident with Carvajal has thrown a monkey wrench into these final 3 laps. And as we get ready to begin our final lap here at Watkins Glen, the gap to Brown unfortunately has grown to nearly 3 seconds at this point. The gap to Ferguson is 0.5, and the gap back to Shield is now about 1.2. So I think we might have enough distance between us to be able to hold them off. We're able to hold Ferguson off again going into turn one, and we're going to get back on the push to pass for the final time going up this long hill, this long straightaway at Watkins Glen, and we're able to get a little bit more of a gap. Again, hoping that Tom Shield is able to get up to James Ferguson, possibly challenge him, possibly get him to make a mistake. As we come to the end of the straight, I can see that James Ferguson is not going to be quite close enough to make a move going into turn 5 as Brown is well ahead. This feels like the battle for second, third, and fourth at this point. We pop up the TV camera to see our leader finishing up his lap going into the toe section, and oh, it looks like he's had a problem. He's had an issue. He got it all wrong going into the toe section of the boot, and now the race is on to the finish. The gap is down to 1.2. As we head down to the hill, we make up more time, and we have it just under a second. Can we do it? Can we force a mistake from the leader? It might be too little too late. I'm hoping for a mistake here as we come down to the penultimate turn. We're on the push to pass. Unfortunately, we're going to run out here shortly. I'm hoping for a mistake here from the leader at the final turn, but unfortunately for us, he's able to keep it clean and get to the line just as we expire our push to pass allotment for the race. What a chaotic finish to this one. Action-packed all the way through the end of that race. Lost in the chaos in front of us, I noticed that James Ferguson is nowhere to be found. What on earth happened here? As we pop up the replay, we can see he was right on our tail, and the back end flips around once he gets on the gas. Unfortunately for James, that was not going to be the end of it. As bang, he gets tagged by another driver coming up the blind crest, and that accident will drop him all the way to P12. For us, we finished P2 with both an I rating and an SR gain. Hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. If you did, leave a like down below, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.